I want you to go ahead and do me a favor and picture this. Imagine you live in a world where there are a group of people who demand that everything under the sun that they hold dear be an accommodation for them in their worldview. And when they don't get it in a timely manner that benefits them and only them, they start to lash out in ways that make other people look at them and say, hey, you're kind of irrational given that you expect the world to accommodate you and everyone you know who shares the same values as you over and over and over again, and you should probably get that checked out. You don't have to imagine it because we actually do live in that world. A couple months back, I made that video about that streamer and various other individuals who were very upset at a game not having enough accommodations for them and their identity, and the creator of that game not really giving any answers or statements about it because game developing is hard, and a game where you already have mods that let you do that anyway to accommodate your feelings and identity that is years old would be an issue and a challenge to implement, given that you have to make updates surrounding language and anything interacting with the NPCs, along with making sure that the game doesn't break. And these individuals were so fixated on that, they were willing to assume that the creator, the sole creator of the game, was somehow phobic towards them because he doesn't want to respond to what would be described as pointless first world problem backlash. If Concerned Ape, the developer of Stardew Valley, truly doesn't want to add non-binary options and character references, he needs to say so. He needs to address his transphobia if it's there. His community deserves to know so they can go where they are loved. If he plans to add it, tell us. Demolish the hate. Yes, I'm implying transphobia. I am not afraid to admit that. Unless Eric Barone states why he has not addressed the calls for this, which has been ongoing for years, I have to start assuming the worst because it is what will keep my friends and the community safe.
I do think it's reasonable to pose the question as to whether or not transphobia is involved in his choice to be silent. As a community, trans individuals often face disappointment from those we once trusted, including friends, family, creators, and game developers who may harbor ignorant or hostile attitudes towards us without us knowing until something like this comes up. Therefore, questioning the potential involvement of transphobia could be viewed as a valid form of self-preservation. While there are other forms of queer representation in Stardew Valley, which some may argue as a reason to assume it's not transphobia, I don't believe this is a fair comparison. It is not uncommon for individuals to be accepting of the broader queer community while disregarding the needs of trans individuals themselves.
Does no one else realize how ass backwards that is? You don't need this to be in a game in order for you to survive. It's a video game. If you're bored by it, or if it's not doing what you want it to do, turn it off and go find another game.
Moreover, I believe that advocating for a peaceful approach and solely relying on petitions overlooks the reality that trans players and their allies have been using this strategy for an extended period of time without any response. Concerned Ape, being a person of significant power, privilege, and wealth, has been granted ample opportunity to address community concerns peacefully, but has opted not to do so. This leaves players with limited options: either disengage from the game and withdraw support due to his communication failures, or adopt more assertive measures in protesting his actions. Considering the substantial number of trans players who deeply appreciate and support Stardew Valley, it seems reasonable to explore more disruptive methods to capture his attention and prompt him to speak up, rather than abandoning a beloved franchise.
And at the time, I and many others pointed out to everyone that this is stupid, and that's not how you go about actually wanting things put into years-old games if you actually care about them being in the game. You don't go on these campaigns to start harassing developers. You don't start wondering to yourself and your friends that somebody hates you when they don't even know you. You just continue to play the video game. And I feel like I mentioned it already, this game allows mods where you can do whatever you want in terms of pronouns, identity, same-sex marriage, all of that, which sounds to me like a win-win for you. But you want it officially put in the game because you're too lazy to download a mod because that PC you have is utter dog shit. However, it's interesting that the topic of mods comes into place because we have a new example of people being so narcissistic that they want something and a developer kindly says not gonna happen, and they respond irrationally. Our subject of today is a game called Soulash 2, some game that's a sandbox open world RPG. I don't know, I'm not interested. And somebody posted a statement towards the developer hoping for a little bit more inclusivity. Hey Archer, thank you for your hard work. I'm a queer fan of your game and wanted to ask if same-sex relationships would be possible in future updates. I know other devs like the ones who made Medieval Dynasty said they consider considered it too late to put into the game. I just wanted to see if it was something on your radar or if it would be safe for you to implement in the future. Thank you for your time and dedication to this game and this community. Arguably, a pretty nice statement to bring out. It's just posing that, hey, other developers thought about it, but it was too late to put on the table, so they couldn't do it. And so they're asking this guy, hey, would this be something you would be interested in putting in as queer individuals probably play this game? And he responds, the main purpose of family systems is to create legacy through children. And given our limited ways to interact with NPCs, I don't think there's a good way to represent relationships, so I don't plan to expand that right now. More extended interactions were something that some players wished was a bigger focus of the game, but unfortunately, it would take a long time and probably the removal of the conversations and dialogue systems to turn Soulash 2 into The Sims, as well as other games I'm already trying to mix. We're going to have to see if I ever get excited about it, but right now, I'm too pumped to go to war to delay it any further. And you would think, based off of seeing that on the screen and hearing me read it, that this guy would consider it, but just not at the current moment. And for some reason, because reading is not something a lot of people can comprehend with their minds, people use this and other posts by this guy to say, hey, you view us as a problem and you hate us and you're somehow the phobic towards us. And I think what truly annoys me the most about these responses is that it screams a bunch of people who don't actually know how to design a game, code a game, make a game, market a game, or implement mods in a game from scratch without downloading it from a YouTube tutorial. It reeks of a bunch of people who demand something in their hand immediately without the consideration that it takes time to actually put these things in the game. And if you don't give it to this subsection of people, they're just going to start hurling insults at you, review bombing your game, and somehow bullying you into submission, hoping that you start doing what they want. I had high hopes for the further development of this game as it appears to have great potential. Unfortunately, I can't recommend to support this game while its developer is signaling racist and anti-LGBT politics in his design choices. It seems to be fairly simple to unlock the marriage system to allow players to form interracial or same-sex marriages with NPCs. There need not be any restrictions on the player's freedom to develop our worlds the way we like, and implementing this as a hard-code restriction is a clear statement of catering towards the biases or preferences of a certain section of the player base to the exclusion of another. That is a talking point that people got from Twitter, and the developer himself confirmed to everybody that that is a bold-faced lie. And when responding to somebody, just casually asking the question, not being a dick about it, he still is talking like, hey, this could be an idea in the future, but the problem is it takes time and it takes money. And as a small company trying to develop games, you're not really going to see that level of input put in a quick fashion. Planting your feet on this choice is a clear middle finger to the LGBTQ player base and to anyone who wants to create their Soulash world the way they want. Update, I've reached out to Arthur to try and reach an understanding, and this prompted him to go on an unhinged nationalist rant on Twitter against the degenerate race mixers and queers. So at least now we know for sure. So let me see if I got this right. You see that this game has depictions of anything regarding LGBTQ as sorely lacking and you're very upset about it. So you privately messaged the developer about it, or maybe you did it publicly, hoping for a response, ignoring every response that's on Twitter right now, basically saying, hey, this would be something I'm open to in the future, but it would take time. So if you're willing to bear with me, that's perfectly fine. And you ignore all of that to only pay attention to something that you could spin into hateful rhetoric towards you. That, by definition, to me, is batshit insane. I'm willing to bet my right hand, both my testicles, and my hot Cheetos that there are games on Steam, the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, the Nintendo Switch Online Store that are very heavily based around LGBTQ representation. And I recommend anybody who's a fan of that and you want to see yourself in that, and it's an open sandbox, or if it's some rom-com type game, or if it's an action RPG, go find those games. They're probably going to be pushed way at the bottom of the library because not a lot of people know about them. Not a lot of marketing has gone towards them because a lot of money is tight in terms of actually getting marketing for these games because they spent all that money on hiring people to come in and help make those games. So it would behoove you to actually go and support them with your money and not just you tweeting, hey everybody, I found this game, because that does not drive traffic traction in the ways that actually make a game grow. It's money that makes the world go round. I know, very capitalistic of me, but let's live in reality for a second. Without people supporting these things financially, they can't grow further. Fact of life, especially for all these small developers trying to come up. Actively ignoring the genuine responses that seem normal from people and instead fixating yourself on trying to be offended by everything and trying to put somebody in a submission so that they actually capitulate to you is stupid, and it doesn't make you look reasonable. It makes you look stupid. The idea is not sound at all. What would be a better idea is just doing what some people did, asking and then hoping for a response and getting that response and going from there. But the fact is, people did that. They go on from there, but the irrational people wanted to say, no. This is hateful. This is bigotry. You're catering to people who hate me and my daily life. How dare you? You're fucking stupid and a little bit brain dead. And I wish you would stop, because it takes a lot to make a fucking game. I know a lot of these triple A's make it somewhat easy, but these small developers struggle trying to make these games. They struggle trying to get these things on Steam, to push it out, to promote it. And the last thing they worried about is dumbasses trying to bully them over stressing them out to get back in the chair and put in a feature that could be game breaking and could rework the entire language base in a game to just make you feel good. And no, for the people who will say it's easy, no, it's not. Make a game from scratch and tell me how fucking easy it is. As somebody who has, it ain't fucking easy. Dear weird corner of the LGBTQ gaming community, because I understand it's not everybody. It's just this weird corner who constantly wants to bully people into submission over validation because they lack self-confidence and self-respect. You need to stop. You make more people hate you than love you, because instead of being normal people who could understand that updates to a game takes time, doing this just makes more people look at you and say, wow, fuck you, you intolerant piece of shit. And maybe this update will never come and you're wondering what you could do. Oh, I don't know. Play another game, play a game that's centered around making sure all of your accommodations are well and looked after. Maybe more of you, instead of worrying about this, can go play this new game called Dustborn, which sorely needs a bunch of people to pay attention to it, because a game made solely by the funding of a government not sticking with audiences is not shocking to me at all. But I never want to see games fail, so bring your attention towards that, because off the eye test, it looks interesting to me, but probably not gonna buy it because I'm gonna go play Black Myth Wukong because I like being a monkey beating motherfuckers with a stick. Goodbye, buddy. Yeah! That's the whole point of these games. You gotta learn these movements. Like, for example, I'm gonna get into the battle, and he's gonna meet me over here, and he's gonna jump, and then I'm gonna dodge. See? Learning the movements. And then he's gonna punch, and then another punch. Okay, I didn't learn that movement, but you know. No! What? Alright, gone. I'm done. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Goodbye.